3 years into his marriage with the gorgeous heiress Shen Xiwei, Ye Qiu suddenly gets a text from his future self. Overnight, he flips from the perfect doting husband to a cold stranger, never leaving the lights on for her late arrivals. No more cooking gourmet dinners, no more running after her. He even unpins her chat from his phone. Her messages get left on read. Then, one night, her assistant calls him in a total panic because something went horribly wrong. The grandfather blocked her from taking over the company. They fought, she injured her arm, and now she is in emergency surgery. But instead of panicking, Ye Qiu just calmly asks if they need him to sign anything. The assistant is completely stunned. Normally, Ye Qiu would risk his life driving like a maniac to save her, but now he is just chillin'. The assistant begs him to care, reminding him of how he stayed by her side for 3 straight days before. Ye Qiu just scoffs. Honestly, if he had not connected with his future self, he would still be playing the fool. He would still be blinded by her fake love. Later that night, Shen Xiwei stumbles home with her arm in a heavy cast. She tries to play the victim, softly telling him not to worry since she is totally fine. But Ye Qiu just rolls over and goes back to sleep. Talk about a cold shoulder. This actually stings her ego big time. She is used to him spamming her phone if she was even 30 minutes late. Now, pure silence. She sighs out his name, saying she knows he is hurting, but begs him to understand her grandfather. She promises to make her family accept him eventually. Ye Qiu ignores her, letting her think he is just throwing a petty tantrum. Frustrated, she grabs a bottle of wine and heads to the balcony. Meanwhile, Ye Qiu lies in the dark. He pulls out his phone to read that chilling text again. Run away, she will completely ruin your life. At first, he thought it was just a sick prank. After all, she was a billionaire heiress who seemingly adored him. She was the absolute queen of the business world, yet she randomly showed up at a low-tier matchmaking event and picked him. Back then, he was just a regular guy selling meat at a market, but she did not care about his humble job. She held his worn-out ID and sweetly asked if working long hours was tough. He fell for her instantly. She even defended him when elites looked down on his smell, calling it the authentic scent of a hard-working man. When he accidentally cut his finger at work, she did not even care about the grease. She just held his hand. She frantically searched for a Band-Aid, promising to protect him. She proudly brought him to high society galas. She would hold his hand in front of everyone, introducing him as her husband. But then, things got dark. When a thug attacked him, she literally jumped in and took a knife to the chest to save him. How could someone who took a blade for him ever want to ruin him? He had to text back and ask. The reply shocked him. It said, "I am your 35-year-old self. If you do not believe me, check the local restaurant tonight." Ye Qiu almost dropped his phone. His wife was supposed to be in another country on a business trip. But the seed of doubt was planted. He rushed to the restaurant, desperate to find the truth. He bribed a waiter, threw on a uniform and a mask, and snuck inside the private dining hall. What he saw next completely broke him. There she was, standing next to a handsome, older guy. She was gently strapping an ultra-expensive watch onto his wrist, her eyes full of genuine, adoring love. The guy, Lu Haoran, fake worried that the watch was too expensive and she should give it to her husband instead. But she scoffed, saying a cheap butcher does not deserve luxury. Only her dear teacher Lu was worthy. That hurt. The future text was right. Her sweet words about his humble background were all a complete lie. In his daze, he heard her call out, asking him to peel their shrimp. She did not even recognize him. He was just a nameless extra to her. But right as he walked over, the doors burst open with a roar. Her grandfather stormed in, leaning heavily on his cane and shaking with absolute rage at her behavior. He yelled at her for street racing just to win that watch. It turns out her whole marriage was a lie. She only married the butcher and took a knife for him to spite her grandfather. The old man raised his cane. As the cane swung down, she did not hesitate. She grabbed Ye Qiu and pushed him forward. The heavy wooden cane slammed right into his back. The impact was so brutal, he felt his ribs crack. Blood pooled in his mouth as he collapsed. Through his blurry vision, he saw her shield her true love. She glared at her grandfather, completely ignoring her husband bleeding on the floor. Now that is a truly brutal betrayal. No way is she handing the Shen Group to Ye Qiu, a literal butcher who does not even belong in their world. If he becomes head, the entire Shen family will become the ultimate joke of high society. Our boy Ye Qiu can barely remember how he dragged himself off the floor and stumbled out of that restaurant, completely humiliated. The freezing wind cuts right to his bones. Wiping blood off his lip with a shaking hand, he sends a desperate message to his future self 10 years down the line. He asks who Lu Haoran is, and the response is instant. Get somewhere warm first and I will explain everything. At this point, Ye Qiu can barely breathe as reality starts hitting him. It is honestly crazy how well his future self knows him, predicting his exact moves, even knowing his first reaction would be to just stand there in the freezing cold. Shivering, he heads into a convenience store and sits by the window. As his future self starts texting, 10 years of absolute misery begin to unfold like a bloody tragedy. Turns out this Lu Haoran guy was Shen Xiwei's high school music teacher and her dad's close friend, a dude literally 10 years older than her. Talk about sketchy. Back then, Shen Xiwei's mom was constantly cheating, leaving her home in absolute chaos. The only person the young girl could lean on was this gentle-natured music teacher. But then things went completely off the rails when her toxic mother actually tried to seduce Lu Haoran too. This sheer mess eventually broke Shen Xiwei's father. He snapped, grabbed a knife, and ended both his and his wife's lives. The tragedy shocked everyone, and Lu Haoran instantly became the ultimate taboo in the Shen household. The grandfather blamed him entirely for the tragedy and forbade Shen Xiwei from ever seeing him. But this girl was utterly obsessed, and despite the old man, she did something wild. She intentionally went on blind dates and picked our boy Ye Qiu, the most average, unremarkable guy she could find, to be her puppet husband. Just insane. It was all a game to hurt her grandfather. 5 years into their marriage, the old man passes away and she immediately drops the act, publicly parading her relationship with her teacher. The texts on the screen get even darker. Driven completely mad by her betrayal, Ye confronts his wife about their years of love, but she coldly calls him sick and puts him under 24-hour house arrest. Left with nothing, Ye completely loses control. He exposes their affair online and hires internet armies to absolutely trash that scumbag Lu Haoran. He even plasters their private photos all over the company building, dragging Lu Haoran's reputation through the mud until the guy is completely ruined. Just when Ye thinks his bitter struggle is finally turning around, Shen Xiwei hits him with a divorce agreement. With teary eyes, she actually has the nerve to call him the most cold-blooded man she's ever met. She claims he ruined her life, but watching this tragic future play out on a screen, the reality of her cruelty is just too much to handle. To save her lover Lu Haoran, she actually gave away their deceased premature daughter's cord blood, the only proof their little girl ever existed. Honestly, that is just next-level evil. This completely breaks Ye. To make matters worse, she even edits security footage of his breakdown and uploads it online to paint him as a raving lunatic. She even zooms in on the scar Ye personally carved on Lu Haoran's chest. Although his wealthy family tries to rescue him, Ye swears to fight Shen Xiwei to the death. In the end, he loses his mind completely, and the woman he once loved more than life itself throws him straight into a mental asylum. Talk about a brutal ending. Reading this horrifying future on his screen, Ye can barely breathe. Every single word feels like hot coal burning his chest, making him wish he could comfort his future broken self. His fingers hover over the screen before he slowly types out a single promise. I will rewrite this life. Right after, he scrolls through his contacts and makes a call. He dials a number he hasn't touched in years, telling the assistant to inform his grandfather that he is divorcing Shen Xiwei and returning to reclaim his heir status. On top of that, he orders his legal team to immediately revoke every single share he ever gifted to her. His assistant goes dead silent in pure shock. The assistant can't believe it. Young master, you said you wanted to test her for 3 years, and there are only a few days left. Why now? Ye simply replies, she failed. His voice is ice cold. Shen Xiwei has absolutely no clue that her husband is no ordinary butcher. He is the biological grandson of Ye Jiannan, the billionaire gambling king of Hong Kong. Born with infinite wealth, Ye was surrounded by women who only cared about his money, so he disguised himself as a regular guy in Beijing, just to search for real love. But even living as a humble market worker, he got ruthlessly betrayed anyway. At this point, why even bother playing nice anymore? It is time to reclaim his true, ruthless self. Determined to make them pay, Ye gets a lawyer to draft a divorce agreement and sets up a brilliant trap, letting Shen Xiwei sign the papers without suspecting a thing. With only 2 weeks left of the official cooling-off period, she is still completely clueless. She thinks she's got him wrapped around her finger while secretly plotting behind his back. She keeps playing mind games with his grandfather while trying to placate Ye, but he knows exactly who she broke her hand for, and it definitely wasn't for him. The next morning, Ye receives a text from her saying tonight's banquet is extremely important and warning him not to be late. Ye originally planned to fake sick to skip it, but dealing with her fake annoying concern is way too exhausting, so he decides to show up on time. Under the bright lights, Shen Xiwei steps up in a custom gown, her arm still in a cast, and grabs Ye Qiu's arm, whispering a quick reminder before they enter. She tells him General Zhang is arriving tonight, and she already prepared a gift for him to present, saying it will definitely boost his reputation. But Ye Qiu just gives a cold, distant nod, totally seeing through her act. Honestly, his cold shoulder is already sending her anxiety off the charts. Usually, he would immediately forgive her the moment she tried to play nice, but this time, no matter how much she humbles herself, his attitude remains icy. Staring at his cold back, she clenches her fists, desperately hiding her panic. This is where the drama really starts to cook, guys. The moment Ye Qiu walks into the hall, the crowd starts whispering with pure disdain, mocking him for showing up at such an upscale event. They call him a total country bumpkin and sneer about how he used to work at a slaughterhouse, saying he probably still smells like grease. But Ye Qiu literally does not care. He ignores the haters completely and walks straight through the crowd right up to General Zhang. He introduces himself as Ye Qiu and offers a special painting he prepared. The general takes it and slowly unrolls the scroll as the tension in the room builds. The whole crowd instantly goes wild, gasping at what looks like Master Baichuan's priceless masterpiece. A treasure normal folks can't ever buy. But right as everyone is amazed, some dude ruins the vibe, claiming the painting is a fake. He says it is a fake and outsteps Lu Haoran looking way too smug in a clean white suit. He's carrying his own scroll, bragging that he traveled across multiple countries to bring General Zhang the actual masterpiece. He claims only one real version exists, and the moment he unrolls his, Ye Qiu's gift looks like total trash. The crowd is stunned before absolutely roasting Ye Qiu. I mean, who has the nerve to gift a fake to a powerful general? They wonder why a goddess like Shen Xiwei married a clueless loser who just ruined her family's reputation. To save face, Shen Xiwei steps in front of Ye Qiu, lying to the crowd that she actually bought the fake. She says it has nothing to do with her husband, but let's be real, absolutely nobody is buying that story. They tell her not to cover for a broke guy who obviously knows nothing about high-class art, and the general starts throwing major shade. The general asks why she was so muddled when picking a husband. Hearing the insults, Ye Qiu looks back at his wife. He realizes she set him up on purpose. She wanted to humiliate him in front of everyone. She made him the laughingstock just to make her lover Lu Haoran look like a hero, yet she still tries to comfort him? She whispers that she will prove his innocence, but Ye Qiu slaps her hand away, completely done with her games. He tells her they are right. He is just a peasant, and he straight up walks out. She panics and runs after him, grabbing his wrist. But right then, Lu Haoran suddenly staggers and fakes a dizzy spell. The moment she sees her ex stumbling, she instantly drops Yao Chu's hand and runs straight back to him. She treats him like her real husband, completely ignoring Ye Qiu. Honestly, talk about toxic. Ye Qiu leaves and gets into a car. His phone is blowing up with her calls, but he declines every single one. She texts him to go home first and wait for her. He just sneers, mutes the phone, and closes his eyes to rest. But when he opens his eyes, plot twist, he is parked right outside the Shen ancestral mansion. Before he can even ask why, two thugs drag him out of the car and force him onto his knees. Without a word, Elder Shen whips him across the back, screaming that he disgraced the family by gifting a fake. The scandal is already trending online, and now Shen Xiwei's aunt runs in and slaps him across the face. She screams that her son has kidney cancer and needed the general's help, but now his treatment is ruined because of him. Ye Qiu is dizzy from the beating, but the grandfather orders his men to bring out a bowl of mysterious black poison.
He says he won't let a peasant ruin their pure bloodline, ordering him to drink it or be forced.
He has no choice. They force-feed him, and his stomach burns like absolute fire. He's shaking and on the verge of passing out until a servant warns that any more will literally kill him.
Finally, the old man stops. Ye Qiu is left on the cold floor, but this time he chooses a different path.
He alters his destiny completely. When he wakes up in the hospital, he overhears a shocking conversation outside. His stomach is still in pain as he hears his wife demanding the doctor save him or she will shut them down. The hallway goes silent as the staff flees, leaving only her and Lu Haoran alone outside. Lu Haoran asks if she actually loves Ye Qiu, but she coldly replies that she only feels a bit guilty. And then the ultimate bomb. She admits drugging him was actually her idea. She hugs him, whispering that he is the only one she cares about and wants a child with. Lu Haoran backs away, asking why she introduced Ye Qiu to her friends and took him to events. Inside, Ye Qiu clenches the sheets. His heart is frozen solid as he waits for her answer. She casually replies that she only brought him to reunions to remind everyone of his butcher background. She even put him on food shows to slaughter pigs live, just to repeatedly highlight how low class he is to her grandfather. She wanted her grandfather to see the massive gap, and those internet trolls mocking his family? She hired them herself. All this cruelty was just to force her grandfather to let her marry Lu Haoran instead. Ye Qiu's mind completely breaks. He finally realizes how much he has been destroying him behind his back. Every single bit of her love and affection was actually just a carefully plotted play to make him a joke. His heart is frozen cold. Right then, the door opens and Shen Xiwei walks in, looking completely exhausted. With sheer panic in her eyes, she asks when he woke up, noticing his red, cold stare. So cold, right? He asks if she is scared. He heard something, slicing her heart like a knife. Shen Xiwei flinches, forces a smile, and tries to grab his hand, claiming she knows what her grandfather did. She promises that no matter what, she will never divorce him because he is her only husband. But he pulls away in disgust. This coldness hits different, leaving her low-key panicking if he really heard them. Desperate to distract him, she quickly pulls out a gift, asking if he still wanted this specific watch. She claims she literally risked her life racing an underground boss to win it, but he just stares at it. It is a star blue watch, but bro, it is a cheap knockoff. The real one is already on Lu Haoran. Talk about embarrassing. He just tells her to put it down and closes his eyes. Shen Xiwei is totally shook by his silence. Usually, if she got hurt racing, he would lose his mind. He used to check her for wounds with tears in his eyes, but now, not even a single word of care. No thanks, no concern. At this point, Shen Xiwei is clutching her necklace, sweating from pure anxiety. She asks why he is acting like a stranger, but he just ignores her, saying he only wants to sleep. That absolutely crushes her. 3 years of his warmth replaced by this icy wall. She is practically suffocating. Just then, her phone rings with news about Lu Haoran. She immediately panics, telling him to stay safe. She promises to rush over to him. Hanging up, she fake smiles and tells our boy she will compensate him later. Then she bolts. Talk about trash behavior. She sends him to the old mansion with servants to recover. Once he heals, the marriage office calls, telling him the divorce cooling-off period is officially ending tomorrow. He calmly tells them to send the other divorce papers straight to Shen Xiwei's company. What a clean exit. It is his final gift to her, and she is going to hate it. Meanwhile, the Shens host a banquet.
And guess who shows up as General Zong's new godson?
Yes, Lu Haoran, because he gave a good gift. The general formally introduces him, making the Shens smile like crazy. But halfway through the party, Lu Haoran walks straight up to our boy, acting all high and mighty. He starts bragging immediately. He claims he got the special medicine for Xiwei. Our boy is completely unfazed, so Lu Haoran whispers. He says he has power now, while our main character is just a butcher's son dragging down the family. He tells our boy to leave her, but our main character just looks at him, totally calm, agreeing. He says Lu Haoran is perfect for her, since he plays both her and her mother like fiddles. Turns out our boy has future memories. He knows Lu Haoran has been secretly plotting with Shen's mother.
Xiwei is completely in the dark, but hearing this, Lu Haoran is visibly shaken and tries to deny it. He claims they are clean, but our boy tells him he knows the truth, completely done with him.
But Lu Haoran panics and grabs him. Our boy just flicks his wrist, throwing the guy back easily. Suddenly, Shen Xiwei rushes in to save her precious guest, looking at our boy with utter disappointment. She tells him to stop acting like a low-class thug and embarrass the family. The audacity is insane. Our boy is stunned. For 3 years, whenever people mocked his poor background, she would always defend him.
She used to say he was the most cultured man alive, but now he realizes it was all a lie.
Her slip of the tongue revealed her true colors. But wait, here comes the ultimate plot twist. A truck roars outside, and suddenly a dozen live pigs are driven straight into the fancy mansion. They run wild, smashing fancy flower pots and absolutely ruining the banquet. Total chaos. You love to see it.
Then someone spots a name tag on the pigs. They are all labeled Zhang Yongfu. Ain't no way.
The old master freezes. Zhang Yongfu is the literal name of the general. The crowd goes wild. The general runs out, sees this insane circus, and starts shaking with pure rage. This is legendary. His face is pure red, but it gets worse. The other pigs have tags too. They are literally named after every single member of the Zhang family. The old master demands to know who did this. The terrified servants stammer that the pigs came from the local market, and the buyer was Mr. Ye Qiu. The old master absolutely loses his mind, screaming for them to drag Ye Qiu out. Before Ye Qiu even realizes it, he is shoved right in front of the crowd. The old man's icy glare pierces him with pure disgust. The old man rants that he thought Ye Qiu learned his lesson, but he actually pulled this trash stunt for revenge. A lowlife will always be a lowlife. He warns Ye Qiu that he will never step foot in the Zhang family home. Old General Zhang sneers, calling this son-in-law a rotten scoundrel who needs to be taught a lesson. Ye Qiu instinctively looks at Shen Xiwei, a tiny spark of hope left in his eyes. He waits for the woman who once shielded him to finally step forward. He waits for her to confidently tell everyone that Qiu would never do this. But this time, her face is just cold and heavy. With a deep frown, any shred of trust she had vanishes, replaced by pure disappointment. She asks him if he really ordered those pigs. Her soft question hits him like a bucket of ice water, freezing the last bit of warmth in his chest. Gritting his teeth, he swallows the massive wave of injustice. He defends himself. He didn't order the pigs, and if he wanted to insult General Zong, he wouldn't be dumb enough to use his own name. But the old man is not buying it. Fuming with rage, the old man refuses to believe him. He snarls. Who else but a low-class butcher like Ye Qiu would pull such a disgusting stunt? The old man orders his men to lock Ye Qiu in with the pigs so he can reflect. Instantly, bodyguards rush forward and pin him down. With bloodshot eyes, he stares at Shen Xiwei in utter despair, begging her to just look into it. Why can't she believe him just this once? Her nails dig deep into her palms, and though her eyes waver, she ultimately turns her head away, completely avoiding his broken gaze. Ye Qiu stops struggling. It hits him like a truck. His innocence and reputation mean absolutely nothing to her. Having him take the fall is probably exactly what she wanted. Just like that, guards throw him into the room with the frantic pigs. The door slams shut. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees Lu Haoran standing outside with a smug smirk, silently mouthing, "Wish you good luck." Inside, the panicked pigs go wild, charging straight at him. The heavy impact slams his body hard against the wall. Searing pain rips through his limbs. Before he can even catch his breath, they slam into him again and again. Covered in bruises, he finally collapses onto the freezing dirt, barely breathing. Soon, the old general's harsh words from earlier echo in his mind. The old man had said Xiwei used to love Haoran, and her useless butcher of a husband was absolutely nothing compared to him. They said he was trash, and she should just divorce him to marry Haoran. Drifting in and out of consciousness, he loses track of time until the door finally creaks open. Shen Xiwei steps inside and helps the bruised, mud-covered Ye Qiu up. A flicker of pity crosses her eyes, but her voice is still defensive. She scolds him. Qiu, you went too far this time. General Zong is close with the Hong Kong casino king, and we cannot afford to offend him. To protect him, she claims she had to agree to divorce him and marry Lu Haoran. Ye Qiu laughs weakly. So even her grandfather was part of this scheme? The sheer audacity is wild, since this was her goal all along, yet she still blames him. He drags himself out of her arms with his last bit of strength. With his remaining strength, he calmly wishes her and Lu Haoran a happy marriage. Shen Xiwei freezes, shocked by how quiet and unfazed he is. No tears, no screaming, just a quiet blessing. She quickly brushes it off, her mind immediately racing back to the excitement of her upcoming wedding. The next morning, Ye Qiu packs a simple bag and walks out, only to find Shen Xiwei waiting there in a full white wedding dress, asking where he is going. He gives her a cold, indifferent look, mockingly telling her not to worry. He is not going to crash her big day. Shen Xiwei freezes, stepping closer to whisper that the wedding is just a show, and that legally, he is still her husband. Ye Qiu just smiles. She has absolutely no clue that he literally just finalized their divorce papers. From this second on, he is completely free. Right then, a fleet of luxury cars roars up, parking right outside the old mansion. Men in black suits step out in perfect formation. Their suits bear the crest of the legendary Hong Kong Ye family. The relatives gasp, thinking General Zhang's influence is insane to pull in the casino king. Old man Shen is thrilled, shoving Ye Qiu out of the way as he frantically signals Xiwei to hurry up and bring Haoran over to greet them. She quickly straightens Lu Haoran's collar and walks over to welcome them. But wait, plot twist, the guards ignore them completely and stop right in front of Ye Qiu. They bow deeply as the lead guard announces that the master in Hong Kong has been looking for him and ordered them to bring their young master home. The entire Ye family welcomes their young master home. Instantly, the whole courtyard goes dead silent, everyone frozen in sheer disbelief. The Shen family's faces twist from shock to utter horror. Did they just call Ye Qiu young master? No shot! This is actually crazy! The guy they spent years mocking as a poor butcher is actually the heir to the most powerful family in Hong Kong? Shen Xiwei's smile instantly freezes. She completely questions her entire life. After 3 years of marriage, she was certain she knew everything about him. If he is truly a billionaire heir, why was he carrying raw pork in wet markets every single day? Old man Shen is the first to snap out of it. Squeezing out a fake smile, the old man steps forward and asks if they made a mistake. With his usual arrogance, he speaks up. He sneers that this guy is just a useless, trash son-in-law they literally just kicked out. But the moment the guards hear those words, their faces turn absolutely icy. The lead guard growls. Their young master even looking at Shen Xiwei was a blessing the Shen family didn't deserve. How dare they treat their young master like trash? Old man Shen freezes, shocked a mere bodyguard would dare talk to him like this. As he fumes, Shen Xiwei. Asian quickly grabs his arm, turning to Ye Qiu with a deep frown, demanding to know what is going on. But Ye Qiu does not even spare her a glance, his eyes pure ice. 3 years of absolute devotion and loyalty, yet all Ye Qiu gets is betrayal and cold contempt. He is completely done with Shen Xiwei. His only goal now is to escape these toxic people who disgust him so much and return to his real home. He turns and says, "Ajin, there we go." His voice is incredibly calm, yet it carries that absolute final boss energy with zero room for any negotiation. Without even looking back once, he gets into the luxury black Maybach parked by the road. As the massive fleet rolls away, everyone in the courtyard is left standing completely frozen and speechless. Suddenly, that total green tea villain Lu Haoran speaks up, asking Shen Xiwei if she should go comfort Ye Qiu because he is probably hurting deep down. He claims Ye Qiu is just heartbroken and hired actors to put on a show to make her jealous. Honestly, the word acting instantly cures her confusion. Like, if Ye Qiu was really a powerful billionaire heir, why would he spend 3 whole years cooking and butchering pigs for her? She easily convinces herself those people were just cheap hired extras meant to ruin her wedding. Just like that, her hesitation completely vanishes, replaced by pure rage at being deceived. All of her greedy relatives immediately jump on the bandwagon, starting to mock Ye Qiu and laughing about the entire situation. They laugh that his big plot twist was actually just a pathetic, self-directed show. They tell her to ignore him because the wedding is way more important anyway. They confidently claim he will come crawling back crying once he is done throwing his little tantrum. A billionaire heir from Hong Kong? Yeah, right. That is actually crazy comedy and totally impossible. While everyone is happily dragging Ye Qiu through the mud, Lu Haoran secretly smirks in pure triumph before quickly putting on his best fake and deeply caring face.
He sighs that Ye Qiu probably just got confused and lied about his identity. Since he and his powerful godfather know Elder Yi, he offers to help clear things up.
He promises to help smooth things over with the Yi family. The relatives immediately praise him to the skies, telling Shen Xiwei she is incredibly lucky to marry such a sweet and understanding partner compared to Ye Qiu.
With that dramatic scene temporarily paused, the wedding cars finally head back toward the hotel. But the moment they push open the grand banquet hall doors, everyone completely freezes in absolute shock.
The gorgeous, luxurious hall they spent a fortune decorating has been completely trashed. Honestly, the entire place looks like an absolute disaster zone.
Tables and chairs are flipped everywhere, the wedding cake is stomped into complete mush, and the champagne tower is shattered with alcohol covering the entire floor.
Who could have done this? Who else could it be but Ye Qiu? Who else could possibly be this incredibly petty? Everyone looks at each other in silence as Shen Xiwei's face turns darker than a storm.
She thinks about how he clearly promised he wouldn't crash her wedding, yet he came and absolutely destroyed everything, showing zero mercy and leaving her no way out.
Unable to hold back her rage, she snatches her phone and immediately dials his number. She needs to demand an explanation and find out what his deal is. But the only response she gets is a cold, mechanical voicemail saying his phone has been powered off. She stands there, totally stunned. Realizing he is intentionally avoiding her, she literally shakes with rage. She orders her team through gritted teeth to find Ye Qiu and bring him back immediately. Meanwhile, Lu Haoran stands in the middle of the ruins, looking completely troubled. He softly asks if he should go apologize to Ye Qiu, but she immediately tells him it has nothing to do with him. She tightly squeezes his cool hand, her tone softening as she says her only mistake was spoiling Ye Qiu too much. Hearing this, Lu Haoran looks down to hide his massive, triumphant smirk from her. He hides his dark joy perfectly. As time flows by, Shen Xiwei waits anxiously in the temporary resting room until her assistant finally rushes back, looking incredibly stressed out. The assistant looks terrified. Shen Xiwei is busy trying to book a brand new wedding venue, her fingers flying across her screen as she asks without even looking up. She asks if they found Ye Qiu, assuming a friendless, helpless guy like him in Beijing would be incredibly easy to track down. But the assistant just stands there, totally frozen and deeply hesitant to speak. They cannot find him. Hearing this, Xiwei's fingers freeze on the screen. The assistant explains with a bitter face that they have already searched literally every single place Ye Qiu could possibly be. They checked the market where he worked, the supermarkets he frequented, his favorite clothing stores, and even the local parks. There is literally zero trace of him. Shen Xiwei frowns deeply. Since his routine was always so limited, where else could he go? She demands to check all airports, high-speed trains, and buses to see if he left the city entirely. But there is absolutely nothing. The assistant nervously explains that he has completely vanished off the face of the earth without leaving any trace of travel whatsoever. Suddenly, a strange, overwhelming panic starts creeping deep into her cold heart. How can a living, breathing man just disappear like that? The reality of the situation is finally beginning to set in. She orders them to turn the entire city upside down if they have to, just to find him. Before leaving, the assistant nervously asks if she has considered the massive possibility that he is who he says. What if Ye Qiu actually is the grandson of Elder Yi? Absolutely impossible, she snaps back immediately. Her denial is incredibly harsh, defensive, and almost cruel as she looks at the assistant. She claims she was married to him for 3 years and knows his background inside out. Anyone else could be that billionaire heir, but definitely not him. The assistant wisely keeps quiet and quickly leaves the room. Once alone, Xiwei collapses onto the sofa, feeling an incredibly heavy and completely unbearable weight in her chest that she just cannot explain. She slowly realizes this overwhelming irritation has been growing ever since the day Ye Qiu started acting differently. Just as she is spiraling, Lu Haoran quietly pushes the door open and enters.
He asks in a soft, gentle voice if they still haven't found Ye Qiu yet. He tiptoes inside, sitting down closely right next to her on the sofa. He gently suggests asking his powerful godfather to help search, claiming his massive network of elite connections would easily find a lead. But Xiwei immediately shakes her head and refuses. She says General Zhang is far too busy with official duties to be bothered by such a minor issue. Lu Haoran frowns, pretending to be deeply concerned. He asks what they will do if there is never any news. Shen Xiwei just scoffs, cold as ice, saying if he has so much pride, he should just never come back. She reassures herself that Ye Qiu is just a helpless orphan who is absolutely nothing without her. Even if he goes back to butchering pigs, there is no way he can survive without her family wealth.
He will never survive that dirty, exhausting butcher life again. With her ego temporarily restored, her mood calms down. Soon, night falls over the city. Just as darkness falls, an invitation to a high-end casino gala is delivered directly to her, specifically addressed to both her and Lu Haoran by name. Lu Haoran's eyes completely light up with pure excitement. He exclaims that Elder Ye must have heard about their wedding and wants to invite them to Hong Kong to celebrate and boost her business empire. But looking at the elegant gold foil on the invitation, Shen Xiwei just cannot bring herself to feel happy. Ye Qiu's face keeps flashing in her mind over and over again. His shadow continues to haunt her thoughts, leaving her wondering where he is hiding and what he's doing. Little does she know, things are about to change. With her head completely spinning in a tangled mess of thoughts, Shen Xiwei and Lu Haoran hop on a private jet straight to Hong Kong that very night. They are guided through a brilliantly lit casino into a dim private suite where a mysterious masked man in a black suit sits waiting at the main table. He raises his glass, exposing a light brown birthmark on his hand that is a dead ringer for Ye Qiu's, leaving her completely shocked before she can even recover. Before she can snap out of it, the dealer bows, welcoming them to play a high-stakes card game to celebrate their new marriage. Shen Xiwei snaps back to reality and looks up, but the masked guy has already vanished into the dim shadows like a ghost. He is completely gone, making her wonder if she is just hallucinating from stress. Lu Haoran gently tugs her sleeve, asking if she is okay. She shakes her head, telling herself she must be seeing things. This elite heir has absolutely nothing in common with a guy like Ye Qiu. They are total opposites. Composing herself, she calmly asks what kind of game this mysterious young master wants to play. The man idly clinks his chips together, and the dealer announces that they will be playing a game of auctioning off deep secrets. Auctioning secrets? Talk about a wild concept. The dealer slides 20 chips over to both Shen Xiwei and Lu Haoran to start. The young master holds some heavy dirt. They must bid on his secrets, and whoever wins can keep them private or expose them. The game officially begins, and the first secret is about the young master himself. Lu Haoran immediately bids his first chip to grab it. He tears open the sealed note and reads it aloud. Apparently, the young master once owned a pet dog named Wang Chai. Okay, that is pretty harmless, and the next few secrets are just as boring. The biggest scandal is just some celebrity dating drama. Shen Xiwei completely loses interest, and her mind immediately drifts back to the mysterious Ye Qiu and that hand birthmark. But then, the dealer drops a photo on the table. This secret is about Lu Haoran, and honestly, his stomach instantly drops. He instinctively reaches for his chips, but spots Shen Xiwei watching him, so he pulls back, trying to act totally casual about it. Showing panic would just make him look guilty. Plus, he is confident they have no real dirt. Shen Xiwei senses his hesitation and steps in. She tells him if he does not want her knowing the secret, she will not bid. Lu Haoran quickly plasters on a fake smile. He tells her to go ahead since he has absolutely nothing to hide. Meanwhile, the masked man at the head of the table smirks beneath his mask. It is like he already knows the absolute storm that is about to unleash on this couple. Shen Xiwei drops a chip and grabs the photo. She glances down with a light frown, but her expression instantly turns dead cold. Seeing her look completely horrified, Lu Haoran's heart starts hammering, and he frantically asks what is actually on that photo. Her lips are tightly sealed as she slams the photo onto the table, demanding an explanation. Lu Haoran looks down and freezes. The photo shows his texts with a farm owner where he ordered a dozen live pigs with name tags on their necks sent straight to the Shen mansion. He even put the order under Ye Qiu's name to frame him. The dealer adds that the young master's secrets are never faked. They will even stake the gambling king's reputation on it. Shen Xiwei looks disgusted, and Lu Haoran desperately tries to explain himself. He begs her to listen, but before he can finish, the dealer slides a recording pen across the table for the next secret. This one is about Lu Haoran too, but it also involves Shen Xiwei's mother. Hearing this absolutely shatters Shen Xiwei's composure.
Her family's past tragedy is her absolute deepest scar, a dark memory she has spent over 10 years trying to bury deep down.
She never imagined that anyone would ever dig it back up, let alone tie Lu Haoran to her mother like this. Lu Haoran turns absolutely pale, looking completely lifeless. Realizing he is cornered, he desperately pushes all his chips forward to buy it. He swears his feelings for her are real, but begs her that they cannot look at this secret for everyone's sake. He looks completely panicked, shouting that some things are better left buried, and this secret will only destroy them both. Shen Xiwei's eyes turn ice cold, like a bottomless frozen lake. She asks him flat out if he already knows what is on it. Lu Haoran freezes, unable to say a word. With a sharp clink, Shen Xiwei immediately pushes every single one of her chips forward. Since she barely bid on the useless secrets earlier, she has way more chips left than him. This round is already decided. Lu Haoran completely loses it, literally screaming at her not to look and begging her to just go home with him right now. He lunges like a madman to stop her, but she violently shoves him away, sending him crashing onto the cold, hard floor. He groans in pain, but Shen Xiwei ignores him completely. Desperate for the truth, she grabs the recording pen and hits play. Her mother's voice echoes from the speaker. Haoran, even though I like you, you are still my husband's friend, and he is starting to notice my weakness. Shen Xiwei's mind completely goes blank. That is definitely her mother. Then Lu Haoran's trembling voice admits that he knows he is wrong.
He says he cannot control his heart, and as long as they can be together, he does not care about anything else.
Shen Xiwei's head buzzes, her knuckles turning bone white on the pen. Her mother tells him not to worry about society's judgment. Lu Haoran's voice drops lower, followed by the agonizing sound of rustling clothes. Shen Xiwei literally stops breathing.
At this point, her entire world completely shatters. For years, she blamed her mother for destroying their family, letting that hate eat her alive.
But now she realizes there is a second culprit. Shen Xiwei's voice shakes as she asks Lu Haoran why he lied. Didn't he always claim her mother drugged him? Lu Haoran turns pale as paper and desperately lunges forward, trying to grab the evidence. But the bodyguards pin him down before he can even struggle. The dealer tells him to chill because the game is not over. Lu Haoran completely loses it. He glares at the mysterious boss on the sofa, screaming, "Who are you and why are you doing this?" The boss just smirks, totally unbothered, treating this whole thing like cheap entertainment. Then the dealer speaks up again. He announces that the young master has one last secret, and it is about the real truth behind Shen Xiwei's father's death. It costs 10 chips. If nobody bids, they will play the tape live for everyone. Lu Haoran starts shaking with pure panic. He shoves his last 5 chips to the dealer, his voice cracking as he begs that he needs to buy this secret now. The dealer raises an eyebrow. "Mr. Lu, you are short by 5 chips. But hey, in this casino, you can pay with body parts. Like a finger, for example." Lu Haoran almost collapses for terror. But wait, he still has one last card to play. He screams that he is General Zhang's godson, so they better not touch him. But the dealer literally just laughs in his face. Sure, the general is powerful, but this is Hong Kong. He means nothing to the casino king. The dealer tells him to decide fast. Shen Xiwei is done waiting. She grabs a pocket knife on the table, ready to slice her own finger. Lu Haoran freaks out. He lunges to stop her, knowing that if she learns this secret, he is completely done for. He will never leave this room alive. So he snatches the knife and brutally cuts his own hand. Watching him resort to self-harm, Shen Xiwei's last bit of hope shatters. His panic to hide this truth proves one thing. Her father's death was definitely his fault. This is low-key heartbreaking. Clutching his bleeding hand, Lu Haoran weakly begs for the secret, but the boss just smirks with pure, cold cruelty. He immediately presses play anyway. Lu Haoran screams, "Wait, you said fingers count as chips. I cut mine. You cannot cheat me." The dealer calmly replies that one finger only buys one chip. This secret costs 10, which means he is still short. Basically, he needs to slice off 4 more. Lu Haoran completely loses it, screaming that they are all dirty liars. As he rages, the giant screen lights up, and old dusty surveillance tape begins to play. We are not ready for this. The footage was taken inside Shen Xiwei's childhood home years ago. It is a bit blurry, but the faces are totally clear. You can easily recognize Shen Xiwei's father and a younger Lu Haoran. The father demands to know why he did this. He asks if they were not brothers, and why he had to seduce Wangshu when he knows he hates homewreckers to his bones. On screen, Lu Haoran looks smug and completely shameless. Watching this, Shen Xiwei feels like she is looking at a total stranger. The younger Lu Haoran sneers that he is younger and better, so why should the father get to marry a woman like Wangshu? He claims that he belongs by her side instead. This absolute audacity pushes Shen Xiwei's father completely over the edge. Furious, the father slaps Lu Haoran hard across the face, telling him he could end him right then and there. He warns him about the price of touching his wife, but instead of backing down, Lu Haoran just laughs in his face. He tells him to go ahead. His wife is obsessed, and the daughter relies on him as her only hope. If he gets hurt, they will never forgive the father. Hearing this, the father completely snaps and loses all of his mind. He grabs a knife from the table and lunges at Lu Haoran, but suddenly, the mother throws herself in the way. The blade plunges straight into her chest. Terrified, the father runs to get help, but he slips on the stairs. He tumbles down and dies instantly. Bleeding out, the mother begs him to save her, but he just steps back. He mutters an apology, saying he wanted a rich wife, but she is not a necessity. Since Xiwei loves him, he will just wait. He can just wait for her to grow up and take everything. The tape cuts to black. Talk about a plot twist. Her soul is completely gone. Meanwhile, Lu Haoran collapses on the floor, trembling and begging for her forgiveness. He keeps repeating that he is sorry, but Shen Xiwei just turns to look at him with pure, venomous hatred. Her parents never had to die. This entire tragedy was manufactured by the monster standing right in front of her. She walks over, grabs his throat, and chokes him. She whispers, "Why did you betray me when I trusted you?" Lu Haoran gasps for air, his face turning red and eyes bulging. Meanwhile, the mysterious boss quietly gets up to leave. Shen Xiwei suddenly snaps out of her rage. She turns around and yells at him, demanding to know who he is. How does he know all their secrets? The man silently turns and pulls off his mask, revealing a highly familiar face. It is Ye Qiu. Shen Xiwei freezes in pure shock, her mind going completely blank as the truth hits her. Ye Qiu just turns his back and walks away. Honestly, the cold shoulder is so deserved. Shen Xiwei stands frozen in the empty casino, completely dazed as the mind-blowing truth finally sinks in. The man she slept next to for 3 years was actually the grandson of the legendary gambling king? Her entire world starts spinning. No wonder he suddenly vanished from the face of the earth, leaving absolutely zero trace behind. With that kind of power, he could easily pull off a vanishing act, but she still can't comprehend why an elite heir would willingly disguise himself as a low-life butcher just to be with her. Why would he spend 3 whole years living a basic, ordinary life in Beijing just for her? Meanwhile, outside the casino, neon lights paint the night like a dream as the clock strikes midnight. Every single game stops instantly, and the crowd goes quiet. That's when the ultimate boss himself, Yi Zainan, slowly steps into the room. Even with gray hair, his presence is absolutely insane. He radiates pure dominance, and nobody in the room dares to even breathe loud. With a powerful, steady voice, the old man announces that he has some massive news to share with everyone today. His grandson, Ye Qiu, has finally returned to Hong Kong. From this very moment, he will be taking full control of the massive Ye family empire. Talk about a major power move. Under the blinding spotlights, Ye Qiu steps onto the stage looking like an absolute king. He shares a deep hug with his grandfather as the entire room erupts into thunderous applause. Taking the mic, he speaks with absolute clarity. For the past 3 years, he lived alone in Beijing, where he actually got married. Immediately, the crowd starts whispering in sheer shock. People are literally losing their minds, wondering who the lucky girl was that basically hit the jackpot. Hearing the chatter, Ye Qiu just lets out a bitter, self-deprecating smile. He admits he thought that by hiding his identity and throwing away his status, he could find someone who truly loved him for who he was. But unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. Living in poverty didn't buy him pure love. It only bought him cold-hearted betrayal. With sharp, clear eyes, he reveals his original plan. If she had just passed his 3-year test, he would have gifted her a massive chunk of his shares to set her up for life in Hong Kong. But sadly, that dream is completely dead now. Starting today, things are changing. He's taking over the entire Ye Group and taking complete control of his own destiny. Pausing for a second, his eyes lock onto the crowd with absolute, unshakable determination. Even without love, Ye Qiu vows he will live his absolute best life. As he wraps up, the crowd goes wild with applause. Instantly, the shocking news completely blows up online. It's trending everywhere, and every major outlet is going crazy over the headlines. The gambling king's grandson disguised himself as a humble butcher, only to get brutally betrayed by his ungrateful wife. Now, the ungrateful daughter-in-law is crying her eyes out. People are clowning the Shen family heiress for dumping a literal billionaire's grandson for some basic divorced schoolteacher. For 3 years, they treated him like absolute garbage, and now regret is hitting them like a truck. When the Shen family sees the news, the grandfather is the first to completely lose it. He immediately calls Shen Xiwei, screaming his lungs out. He demands to know how she could be so incredibly blind. Ye Qiu is the heir to the massive Ye family empire. How did she spend 3 whole years with him and never notice a single thing? Now the entire city is laughing at their family's stupidity. He warns her that she has to fix this. No matter what it takes, she must beg Ye Qiu to come back, or she's officially kicked out of the family. Left in the middle of this massive media storm, Shen Xiwei is completely isolated. She wanders around like a ghost, completely hollowed out. Her mind constantly drifts back to their simple but incredibly warm days in Beijing. She remembers how, after working late nights, the moment she walked through the door, Ye Qiu would immediately hug her and plant a tender kiss on her forehead. When she casually mentioned wanting his grandma's braised pork, he spent the entire afternoon in the kitchen getting his hands burned by hot oil just to cook it for her. He'd just smile with shining eyes, asking if it tasted good. Whenever she was exhausted from work, he would stay up late helping her organize files. He always replied to her texts instantly, never making her wait even a single second. But that sweet, incredibly devoted version of Ye Qiu is officially gone. He blocked her on every single platform, refusing to give her even a tiny sliver of a second chance. He even ordered his security to keep a strict eye out, making sure she couldn't get anywhere near him. That cozy, everyday warmth is now completely out of her reach. What hurts the most is knowing that this untouchable man once belonged solely to her. Shen Xiwei waits in Hong Kong for 2 agonizing months, desperately hoping he'll finally show up. Then, one day while dining out, she randomly bumps into the casino dealer who also acts as Ye Qiu's personal assistant. Surprisingly, he walks straight up to her and asks to talk. He sits down, calmly pouring her a cup of warm tea. He gently mentions that he's been by the young master's side for 20 years and understands him better than anyone. Hearing this, Shen Xiwei clenches her fists in anxiety. The assistant continues, explaining that while Ye Qiu likes things clean, he's never been soft. He's always been tough. He's incredibly smart, but when it comes to love, he's completely clueless. It's like a mystery box to him. Every single time a woman breaks his heart, he completely shuts down. He would lock himself away for days, convinced that nobody in this world could ever love him sincerely. The assistant's voice drops, adding that Ye Qiu is elite, but values respect above all. Yet, for the woman he loved, he was willing to throw away his pride and give her absolutely everything. Taking a deep breath, the assistant looks directly at her. Honestly, she has no idea how deeply the young master actually cared for her. He loved her so much that he was willing to let himself get completely crushed. Hearing those words, Shen Xiwei feels her heart getting slowly ripped apart. The assistant doesn't stop there, revealing even more painful truths about the past. When Ye Qiu first arrived in Beijing, the assistant secretly followed him. He saw him living in a tiny, cramped room near a noisy wet market, trying his best to fit into her world.
He endured endless mocking and snobby comments at social events he absolutely hated just to make her happy. But the moment he saw her, all his exhaustion and pain instantly melted away.
He kept all his struggles bottled up deep inside, but in the end, his massive gamble on her love failed. Shen Xiwei drops her head, her chest tightening in pure agony.
The overwhelming guilt makes it almost impossible for her to breathe. Taking a shaky breath, her voice trembles violently as she admits that everything is entirely her fault. Burying her face in her hands, she lets out a choked, heartbreaking sob. She desperately begs for just one more chance, promising to spend the rest of her life making it up to him.
But the assistant just slowly shakes his head. He points out that Ye Qiu already gave her countless opportunities over those 3 years, but she never bothered to look at him. If she had paid even a little attention to him back then, she wouldn't be in this pathetic position today. Then his tone suddenly shifts, becoming cold and serious.
He delivers a final, brutal warning. If she doesn't pack her bags and go back to Beijing immediately, Ye Qiu will completely destroy the Shen Group. Hearing this, she goes totally numb.
It feels like she's been dropped into a freezing ice bath. She snaps her head up, her lips trembling in absolute shock, but she can't even squeeze out a single word. A wave of deep, bone-crushing pain completely swallows her. Meanwhile, she overhears a couple gossiping about the legendary gambling king's grandson returning. Apparently, everyone is lining up to date her now, but she ignores them all. Honestly, it makes sense, but the Li family's daughter is determined to win. She is going all out, but hearing this completely triggers our female lead, Shen Xiwei, and she suddenly snaps, standing straight up. She storms over to their table and yells that Ye Qiu is not divorced yet. He still has a wife, and those girls stand zero chance. Her unhinged outburst draws stares from everyone. Suddenly her phone rings and her secretary tells her there is a package that has been sitting in her office. The sender is the Civil Affairs Bureau. Hearing this, Shen Xiwei's heart drops and she instantly demands to open it right now. Over the line, she hears paper tearing. The secretary says it is her official divorce certificate with Ye Qiu. Shen Xiwei completely loses her mind.
She wanders out of the restaurant, staring at the photo of the certificate on her phone, cold to the bone. She has no memory of signing this. Right then, a massive downpour starts, but she just numbly walks straight into the freezing rain, letting the water soak through her clothes. Her last shred of hope washes away. When she finally snaps out of it, she is standing on the edge of her company rooftop. This is low-key heartbreaking. 3 years of memories flood her brain. She realized she ruined her own family for an enemy and ruthlessly used the man who truly loved her. She trampled all over Ye Qiu's devotion and crushed his dignity, all to please a backstabbing villain. Honestly, how could she be so blind? At this point, her furious grandfather calls her, demanding to know when on earth she is going to bring Ye Qiu back to the family. He screams that if she had not used Ye Qiu as a tool, they would be running the city by now. Shen Xiwei just stares at the sky. Her voice is completely hoarse as she asks, what about them? She points out how they constantly insulted Ye Qiu and destroyed his self-esteem. She says they are just as bad as her. Then she sighs, saying she is just so tired, tears streaming down her face. She thought the villain Lu Haoran was her savior and her only light, but now she knows he was the one dragging her down. He pushed her into an abyss, while she threw the only man who truly loved her straight into hell. She feels completely irredeemable now. Feeling completely unworthy of life, she hangs up as her grandfather panics. Meanwhile, Ye Qiu is actually watching her live stream. He sees her pale, fragile figure on the screen, looking like she is about to be swept away by the raging storm. But instead of panicking, he simply closes the app without hesitation. He used to love her to death and endured everything for her. He never complained once back then, but now, watching her suffer on screen, his heart does not feel a single thing. Talk about character growth. Leaning back, he closes his eyes as memories of their first blind date years ago come flooding back. She wore a simple white dress back then, asking him so gently if working at the market all day was too exhausting. At that exact moment, her eyes looked like a sky full of stars. He was instantly hooked and could not look away.
But reality hits hard. The news of her falling off the roof suddenly dominates the headlines of every major media outlet. Luckily, she landed on an inflatable safety cushion, so she survived, but the impact left her in a permanent vegetative state. With their sole heir gone, her family empire instantly fell apart. Their stock crashed, and the company went into absolute chaos. Honestly, he only heard about all this through the news. He was busy running his own massive business empire and living his best life. Out of curiosity, he tries texting his future self from 10 years later again, but there is only radio silence. Just as he is about to give up, a massive text pops up. His future self congratulates him for changing his destiny. The future version of him who suffered for a decade is finally disappearing. He thanks him for winning this fight.
He spent years in an asylum wishing he had done things differently and never let a toxic relationship ruin his life.
But he tells him that love is still beautiful and his future is bright. He must never let anyone walk over him again. Every single struggle and tear he went through is only going to make him stronger, helping him rise to the very top. He even drops a funny tip to eat at his favorite noodle shop before it closes down in 10 years. He signs off, wishing him a life full of peace and happiness. Reading this, Ye Qiu grips his phone tightly. Tears fall onto his screen. This time travel conversation feels completely insane, but he knows it is a gift from his future self. His future self paid with 10 painful years to save him. Taking a deep breath, he types out a final response.
It is a promise to both his past and his future. He writes that he believes they will both find happiness.
The second he hits send, the storm outside finally clears, and a beautiful beam of sunlight lights up his entire office.